After losing my memory in a car accident, 3 men came to visit me at the hospital. The one who came at 10 a.m. claimed to be my boyfriend, a rebellious rock singer. At noon, another visitor said he was my fiancé, my cold and demanding boss who had made my life miserable when I first started working. At 2 p.m., the third man arrived, just back from his business trip, claiming to be my husband, the gentle senior I had secretly loved since high school. The woman in the next bed was just as confused as I was. But we both remained silent. Who was lying? Who was my true love? What's the point in deceiving an honest girl? Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. After waking up from the car accident, all I could remember was that I had just finished my A-levels and was preparing for university. But everything indicated that 5 years had passed. I watched quietly as the young man sitting in front of me was peeling a peach. He was telling me about his work schedule. I have to record new songs this month, and there are several concerts coming up. I won't be able to spend much time with you. He was incredibly handsome. His young, striking face carried an air of rebellious charm, with a diamond stud in his left ear, and a crew cut that only enhanced his distinguished features. As soon as he arrived, he embraced me. Then he kissed me. It felt completely natural. So I was certain he was my boyfriend. It seems he doesn't spend much time with me. I silently wonder if our relationship is stable. I can't believe I'm dating a celebrity from the entertainment industry. Next month. I'll take you to Bali next month. How does that sound? Next month? I don't know what my life is like anymore. I don't want to tell anyone about my memory loss either. He hands me the peach and strokes my head. With his handsome yet cool face, he gently asks, "Has your husband hit you again?" What? My pupils are practically exploding with shock. I'm married? I'm having an affair. My husband is abusive. And he knows I have a husband but still dates me. Thankfully, my eyelashes are lowered. He couldn't see my surprise. I tried to change the subject, saying it's all right. He asked again, "When are you getting divorced?" Don't be afraid of him. Once you're with me, he won't be able to find you. I was actually planning to get divorced and be with him. And if my husband was hitting me, I definitely should get divorced. I fell into deep thought. Who was my husband anyway? He continued, "I can help you find a solicitor, and don't worry about the divorce proceedings. Don't worry about affecting my career either. I don't do that girlfriend fans thing, I'm successful on my own merit." You understand? God, I was completely lost in his handsome features. Who could resist such a gorgeous man sweet-talking them? His voice was incredibly attractive, deep and sensual. My heart was fluttering. I wanted to sleep with him. I nodded and softly replied, "Okay." "Is that creep of a boss still harassing you?" he asked. A creepy boss? Who could that be? "You should just quit," he continued. "Working overtime every weekend, no life of your own, and dealing with that old pervert. Come work as my assistant instead. We could be together every day. So I have a job now, with lots of overtime." How miserable. And my boss is a pervert? Must be quite ugly then. I nodded vaguely. Just then, my phone rang. The contact showed, Boss Stephen Howard. Sounds like a romance novel name. What a waste. My boyfriend gestured for me to answer. He put it on speaker. For some reason, I felt uneasy about this and wasn't happy with his action. But I said nothing. A cool, crisp male voice came through the speaker. "Where are you? Why haven't you come to work?" The voice belonged to a young man. Not old at all. I carefully considered my words. "I had a car accident this morning. I'm in the hospital." He sounded worried on the other end. "Are you all right?" "Which hospital?" I told him the hospital name. My boyfriend still had a concert to prepare for. According to what my boyfriend said, he had only arrived in City S last night, so I went to see him and spent the night with him. This morning when I left, I was on the phone with him when the accident happened. It seems my relationship with my boyfriend is stable and loving. I need to get divorced first. After the divorce, I can be with my boyfriend properly. Though it's strange, I've always been a good girl. I can't believe I'm having an affair. Considering how my husband beats me and my boss harasses me at work. I suppose it's possible I've changed and ended up cheating. I never thought my adult life would be so difficult. Thank goodness I have such a handsome boyfriend to comfort me. Otherwise, I might have turned to the dark side right then and there. My boss Stefan rudely hung up the phone. My boyfriend Dylan really looks down on my boss. He still has an endorsement event to attend. He put on his face mask and baseball cap before leaving. His tall figure made him look even cooler. Next time we meet, I must taste his kisses properly. Something I've been curious about since high school. And to think after one night's sleep, I got to experience passion with such a handsome man. Your boyfriend really cares about you, the woman in the next bed said to me enviously. I smiled shyly. We're in a stable relationship. We're planning to get married. She sighed dreamily. Not only is he sweet, but he's also so handsome. Though he does look familiar. Since we shared the hospital room and had nothing better to do, we started chatting. As it turned out, she was a huge fan of Dylan Burton. She kept going on about how handsome he was and how beautifully he sang. Saying she'd die happy just to meet him once. I doubted her eyesight. What kind of superfan doesn't recognize their idol standing right in front of them? Still, we had fun listening to Dylan's songs and gossiping about him. It was quite entertaining, actually. Dylan is incredibly talented. But he has quite a temper. That's why the media always tries to smear him. The woman said, it's hilarious. They couldn't find anything to criticize, so they started spreading rumors that he's playboy. It's like not having any scandalous affairs is somehow wrong. Her words made me think, is it better for Dylan to have scandalous affairs then? But I'm not worried, as Dylan has never had any romantic scandals. When actresses try to create publicity with him, he immediately posts on Twitter to deny any relationship. He's so straightforward that he doesn't even try to save face for these women. Which is why no one dares to try and create fake scandals with him anymore. Plus, he's really famous. I have a feeling I'm in for quite a ride with him. At noon, I was about to eat the hospital food. Then a tall, handsome man with gold-rimmed glasses entered the room. His slender fingers were holding a lunch box. My roommate and I both watched him. He saw me, sat down directly in front of me, touched my face with a slightly disapproving look. Couldn't you have been more careful while driving? Besides the concussion, is there anything else bothering you? My body didn't reject his touch. I was shocked. He said, don't worry about your work, I've taken care of it. Connecting this with the phone call from this morning, I tentatively asked, Stephen Howard? He replied, yes. So he must be my boss. Am I being harassed by such a handsome man? Or am I the one harassing him? Goodness, I must have fallen into a den of handsome men. And his body language suggests our relationship isn't simple at all. Have I already been involved in some office romance with him? He opened the lunchbox and said to me, I was in a bit of a rush, so I just made something simple. I'll bring you something better for dinner. While speaking, he kept serving me food and feeding me. His demeanor was cold. Yet he was taking care of me with such attention to detail. I turned to look at the woman in the next bed. She was looking at me too. Then we both fell silent. My boss actually knew my favorite dishes and knew I disliked takeaways. He even personally brought me food. And was feeding me. Is this harassment? I chewed mechanically. The food tasted good. But suddenly he asked, where's your engagement ring? I stared at him blankly. He raised his hand, showing a plain ring. I've been wearing mine all along. Implying I was guilty for not wearing mine. Wait. Were we even engaged? He looked at me knowingly, hiding it again from your husband? When are you going to come clean with him? I heard the woman in the next bed gasp. I wanted to gasp too. But I held it in. He was getting angry. His hand feeding me dinner became somewhat aggressive. Helen Berry, what makes you think I can keep being your secret lover forever? He stared at me with cold eyes. My scalp tingled with fear, and under his pressure, I could only promise. I'll get divorced soon. I was genuinely afraid he might strangle me right there. His expression softened slightly as he said, "Good. My parents keep asking when we're getting married. You need to sort out your divorce quickly, or it'll be trouble if they find out about this." I nodded frantically. Someone must be lying. It's impossible for me to have a boyfriend, a fiancé, and a husband all at once. There must be some misunderstanding here. I'm a simple, honest girl. Throughout secondary school and high school, I focused only on my studies, never dated anyone. I was so well behaved that teachers would tell other students to follow my example. It makes no sense that 5 years later, I'd become someone deserving such contempt. While I was lost in thought, he asked, "Have you taken your folic acid?" I stared at him blankly. "What's that?" He looked at me disapprovingly. "Weren't we planning to have a baby?" "I've been taking folic acid for 2 months now, but you're so inconsistent. It's not good for the baby." I stammered, Am I pregnant?" He felt my forehead. "Are you all right? We're trying for a baby, remember? We planned to have a little one." I was completely lost for words. Was I trying for a baby with my fiancé while still married to my husband? Stefan pressed his lips together and said, "You should separate from your husband first. I'm worried if you get pregnant, he might hurt you again. It could be dangerous." His expression turned fierce. "If he lays a finger on you again, he'll regret it. That old, ugly brute married you and doesn't even cherish you." My husband is old and ugly? Oh, dear Lord. How could I possibly tell him? Was that why I avoided intimacy with my husband, and he hit me? But why did I marry him in the first place? Perhaps my parents were ill and desperately needed money, so I sold myself? While I was pondering this, Stefan handed me a pill. Folic acid. "Take it now." My scalp tingled with anxiety. In my mind, I was still a sixth-form student, still a child, and we were trying for a baby? Folic acid should be the least of my concerns. But I nodded. "No problem." That seemed to satisfy him. As soon as he left, I immediately grabbed my phone, hoping to find some clues. But my phone was as blank as my face, there was nothing there. Especially regarding those 2 men. The chat history with both my boyfriend and my fiancé was completely empty. Bloody hell. Who deleted everything? What were they trying to hide? From what I could gather, there were 3 men in my life. Though I could ignore the abusive husband. I should deal with the husband first. But who exactly was my husband? I hadn't even saved his name in my contacts. However, I would soon find out who my husband was. At 2 p.m., a well-groomed, handsome mature man arrived at the hospital ward with his suitcase, looking travel-worn. He was still wearing his business suit, tall with long legs, which accentuated his excellent figure. He had this mature air about him, with charm in every movement. The moment I saw him, my heart started racing uncontrollably. Wasn't this Victor Lambert, my secret crush from high school? I certainly hadn't fallen for the wrong person. He hadn't turned into a middle-aged man with a paunch. He'd become even more charming than his school days. While I was staring at him in admiration, he walked up to me and touched my forehead, asking with intimate tenderness, "Darling, how did you manage to be so careless?" Darling? I was shocked. My old, ugly, and abusive husband is him? I exchanged glances with the lady in the next hospital bed. She stared at the ceiling with blank eyes. Silence. I fell into deep thought. Oh my God. My dream was shattered. I've loved him for so many years, he was my youth, why would he hit me? What's wrong? He frowned, wiping my tears, and asked in a deep voice. What's wrong? Did you miss me? I'm sorry, darling. I know this business trip was a bit long, but I won't need to travel for a while now. Can you forgive me? I was completely disarmed by his mature demeanor and gentle voice. So this is why I hadn't divorced him even after he hit me? Did I really believe that love could heal all wounds? Had he knelt before me in this body, crying and begging for forgiveness? It seems I haven't grown wiser with age, but rather more indecisive. How could I tolerate an abusive husband? After careful consideration, I spoke directly. No need to apologize. I won't fall for this. Let's get a divorce. His hand paused as he was wiping my tears. What did you say? He asked in disbelief. Without looking at him, I said, domestic violence is never a one-time thing. No matter why I didn't divorce you before, I must divorce you now. He laughed bitterly. Helen Berry, what are you talking about? When did I ever abuse you? When the bloody hell did I ever lay a hand on you? Tell me exactly when. I froze. But, both my boyfriend and fiancé said he abused me? Yet looking at his expression, he didn't seem to be lying at all. Good Lord, who's actually lying here? How could someone deceive an honest person like this? Never mind, I'll investigate this later. So, I broke into a smile through my tears and playfully grabbed his hand. LOL, I was just kidding. I was acting. How was my performance? His expression darkened as he said, don't ever let me hear the word divorce again. That word doesn't exist in my dictionary. I quickly snuggled up to him. Of course not. The man I've had a crush on for years turns out to be my husband. Victor helps wipe my face and hands, assists me to the bathroom, treating me like I'm made of glass. Then he bought me a present. He even discussed accompanying me to my parents' house for Sunday lunch. When he went to the bathroom, I opened his phone, and the password was my birthday. I quickly scrolled through our chat history. Bloody hell, I couldn't find any messages between me and my husband. Who could be so cruel? Someone had deleted everything completely. Looking through Victor's phone, our relationship is just so sweet and loving. We text each other almost every day. This definitely doesn't seem like an abusive relationship. Besides, now that I'm an adult, I wouldn't stay with someone who had hurt me, would I? And when I see him, I just want to be close to him. I'm not scared at all. Our text messages are full of daily work and life updates, casual chats, and lovely messages saying miss you and love you, with lots of flirting. When he's home, he often brings me cupcakes or flowers. When he travels for work, he makes sure the fridge is well stocked. He's been away on a business trip for 2 weeks. Before he left, he filled the fridge with Cornish pasties, scones, and shepherd's pies. I don't like takeaway food. I remember that. I love shepherd's pie and Cornish pasties. But only homemade ones. I won't touch the supermarket frozen ones. Seems like I've got quite a good husband. So why did I have affairs? And not just one, but 2. I frowned, deep in thought. I couldn't possibly have become such a terrible person. Growing up, I was always a model student, a girl guide. Then joined the youth club and later became active in community service. My speeches at school assemblies were always articulate and passionate. I was a good girl with strong morals and principles. Throughout high school, I turned down countless admirers. I firmly believed in waiting for the right time for romance. One of my lifelong dreams was to become a devoted wife and mother. To create a warm and loving home. How could I possibly want 3 warm homes now as an adult? So, the problem must lie with others. Though it seems Victor doesn't know about my affairs. The other 2 men know I'm married but don't know about each other. Since I'm already married, and the marriage isn't bad, having affairs is simply wrong. I clenched my fists. While uncovering the truth, I need to find a way to end things with the other 2 men. Then return to my family. I sent messages to both Stefan and Dylan, telling them not to come looking for me. To Stefan, I said I needed to confront my husband about divorce. To Dylan, I claimed I had to work overtime at the office. I thought I should break up with Dylan first. Being a celebrity, ending things with him would be easier. After they replied, my right thumb, with practiced precision, held down the chat box and clicked delete. I was devastated. I stared at my right thumb, silently cursing. You traitor! So it was you who deleted all my chat history. Victor stayed with me at the hospital. I leaned against his strong chest, playing with his long fingers while we watched TV together. Before long, he fell asleep on the bed. He said he only slept 3 or 4 hours each day to finish the project early and come back sooner. I looked up at him, noticing the dark circles under his eyes, and my heart ached. If my husband hasn't wronged me, yet I'm the one who's having an affair, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself. I'd have to call myself a bloody tosser. I must break up. I silently pondered how to tell them both. After all, one of them is ready to find me a divorce solicitor, while the other is trying to have a baby with me. After spending a day in the hospital, I was feeling much better and full of energy again. So I went home with Victor. We lived in a duplex apartment. Not bad at all. The house was neat and cozy. Our bedroom was on the second floor. Our wedding photos were hanging on the wall. Victor looked handsome with a gentle smile, gazing at me tenderly. I was wearing a white wedding dress, looking elegant and beautiful, shyly meeting his eyes. It was a suite. Very spacious. On the coffee table outside, there was a photo album. It was filled with photos of me and Victor, both from our travels and at home, or just out and about. Sometimes we'd take casual shots when we went out for dinner, and had them printed. There were photos from our university days when we looked quite innocent, and some from after we started working, when we appeared more mature. We looked so close to each other. So sweet together. We must have gotten together at university. Because in the album, there was a photo of him holding me in front of our university's gate with my acceptance letter. I was smiling sweetly, with a hint of shyness. He had that gentle smile too. I had liked him since high school, when he was in year 13 and I was in year 11. He went to Q University in the capital. My parents didn't want me to leave City S. But I still applied to our university in the capital, though I only remember being accepted. I was still wondering how to start a conversation with Victor Lambert. Looking at those photos, I felt extremely guilty. As I was flipping through the album, trying to see what my life had been like all these years, Victor hugged me from behind. He started kissing my neck. His warm breath tickled the nape of my neck, sending shivers down my spine. I couldn't help but let out strange sounds from my throat. He chuckled softly, so sensitive. Missing me? Before I could respond, he swept me up in his arms and tossed me onto the bedroom bed. As he moved over me, I gazed at his refined face, now transformed by desire, finding him both unfamiliar and irresistible. It was as if his usually composed and gentle demeanor had been tainted by earthly desires because of me. My feelings for him had always been pure and simple. I'd never imagined being intimate with him like this. He skillfully aroused my passion, our bodies intertwining as we lost ourselves in a sea of desire. After it was over, I felt like I might die from the excitement. Victor held me close, gently caressing my face. Feeling shy, I asked, "What is it? Why are you looking at me like that?" His loving eyes were fixed entirely on me as he said, "I'm thinking about what you said yesterday." "What did I say?" "That you wanted a divorce." I quickly explained, I was only joking. He shook his head. "Helen, don't joke about things like that. It would drive me mad." I felt a bit guilty. He got up and left the bedroom. When he returned, he was holding some rope. I was shocked and asked, "So, have you ever actually hit me?" He gave a cold laugh, tied up my hands and feet, and whispered in my ear, "I am going to give you a proper whipping." I was stunned. BDSM? Really? But this could be interesting. The next day, I went to work. I found my workplace through my national insurance records. I didn't dare tell Victor about my memory loss, especially since he had suggested I quit my job anyway. "Isn't your boss always giving you a hard time?" he said. "Making you work overtime all the time? I can support us both, you don't need to put up with that. You love drawing comics, why not focus on that?" "That's right, I'm actually a comic artist." I opened my phone this morning and found messages on Twitter. Looking through them, I discovered I'd published several graphic novels. Drawing was my hobby back in secondary school. I used to doodle all over my notebooks. I never imagined that as an adult, I'd become a professional comic artist. I've published several graphic novels with decent sales. I'm quite satisfied with my career, but not with my love life. As someone who always followed the rules, studied hard, and went to university like a good girl, I wouldn't do anything too rebellious. Though if I break up with my boss Stefan, I'd probably need to quit my job. It would be awkward seeing him every day. Plus, with how attractive my boss is, I'm afraid I might be tempted. After all, I only fell for Victor in high school because I thought he was handsome. I nodded obediently. Victor gently patted my head. Good girl. I felt a bit shy. After all, in my memories, he was still that senior I had admired from afar but never managed to get close to. But I couldn't help remembering our night together. It was tender and sweet, yet passionate and intense, like a storm. Who would have thought that behind his proper demeanor, he could be so sensual? He even said many naughty things. Words I'd normally find crude, but in bed, they felt so arousing. I went to the office with the sweetness of my husband. I found my position in the email. Before heading to the office, I bought a large bag of breakfast and asked the receptionist to deliver it to my desk. The receptionist indeed knew my seat and delivered it there. I invited my colleagues who hadn't had breakfast to help themselves. When everyone gathered around for breakfast, Stefan, my boss, walked through the crowd to his office. Looking at his private office, I made up my mind to end our relationship. I couldn't betray my husband. My colleagues returned to their desks. I turned on my computer. Fortunately, my habits hadn't changed, and I had a clear to-do list. I even had a separate document recording various work points. I followed the document step by step. It seemed I hadn't forgotten much about my work and quickly got back into the rhythm. At 10 in the morning, Stefan messaged me to come in. I pressed my lips together, clenched my fists. I had to say it out loud. I knocked and entered. He had pulled both the door and the curtains closed. I felt a slight chill down my spine. He naturally pulled me to sit down and asked with concern, "Did your husband hit you again? Or is he giving you the silent treatment? You look so pale." I thought for a moment, deciding that a short pain was better than a long one, and said, "Mr. Howard, there's something I need to tell you." "Wait." He took out a bottle from the drawer and poured out a small pill. He took one himself and handed one to me. "What's this?" I asked. "Folic acid," he replied irritably. I looked at the pill and decided I had to be clear with him. Otherwise, who knows how long I'd have to keep taking these bloody things. I pushed his hand away and looked into his eyes seriously. "We should break up." His expression froze. His face turned ghastly, like storm clouds gathering. Through gritted teeth, he said, "Say that again." I couldn't meet his eyes and said nervously, "My husband treats me well. I can't betray him. What we're doing isn't right, bloody hell." "What are you doing?" Stefan was holding a kitchen knife in his hand. He sneered, "Want to break up with me, right? Fine, I'll die right in front of you. I hope you and your husband live happily ever after," walking over my dead body. He stared at me with intense hatred. "Helen Berry. For you, I've been the other man for 6 months, living in the shadows. What did you give me? You gave me hope and then crushed it yourself. Fine, break up. I'll make sure you regret this for the rest of your life." I rushed forward immediately. Please, let's talk about this. Let's talk." "I was just joking. I won't break up with you." "Really?" He stared at me. I raised my right hand, "I swear." "When will you get divorced?" I reluctantly said, "I need some time." "Helen, what makes you think I'll always be content being your bit on the side? Yet when I try to break up with you, you threaten to kill yourself." Men's minds, impossible to read. Now I understand why I betrayed my husband. If I don't give in to him and he dies, I'll have to live with that guilt forever. I could only try to calm him down. Soon, very soon. "I'll ask for a divorce as soon as I get home." His demeanor changed completely as he pulled me onto his lap, whispering tenderly, "I love you, Helen. I can't live without you." He kissed me, and there was something unsettling about his behavior. He swallowed the pill himself, then forced it into my mouth with his kiss. During his kisses, I didn't dare resist, fearing he might threaten to end his life again. By the time I realized what he was about to do, it was too late. I couldn't even look at that chair anymore. When I finally stood up and adjusted my clothes, he had already reverted to his cold, professional boss persona. Red-faced, I prepared to flee the scene. He grabbed my hand and said with satisfaction, "Get ready, you're coming with me on a business trip tomorrow." He pinched my ear playfully. "How many times has it been now? Yet you still blush?" I just never expected it to be so wild. Although I was coerced, acting out of kindness to save someone's life. But I never imagined doing such things in the office. Mentally, I still feel like a fresh high school graduate, suddenly being thrust into such adult situations. I feel somewhat tainted. I sat at my desk, feeling lost and dejected. Stefan is impossible to communicate with. What should I do? I never thought he would be this kind of person. I suspect I fell for his trap back then, when he desperately pressured me. Before dealing with my boss, I need to handle Dylan first. I can't be as reckless as I was when breaking up with my boss. Otherwise, I'll fail again. I need to think of an excuse. In the evening, I told my husband, Victor, I had to work late. I told my boss, Stefan, I needed to leave early to have a serious talk with my husband. Then I arranged to meet Dylan Burton. I watched my fingers skillfully typing excuses. Then just as skillfully deleting message threads, lost in thought. The thing that betrayed me was my own fingers. These fingers, utterly useless. Dylan chose a very discreet, high-end restaurant. It looked expensive at first glance. When I arrived at the private dining room, he was already waiting inside. Before I could speak, he pulled me into his arms and his kisses overwhelmed me. My body was too familiar with him. My treacherous lips betrayed my soul, seeking his, as if desperate for his taste. Just like in my boss's office. By the time I realized what he was about to do, it was too late. Afterwards, I started thinking about taking vitamin supplements. That was the real priority. Not some silly folic acid. I straightened my clothes like a flustered girl, thinking to myself how satisfying it was to be with such a handsome man. He held me close, still teasing, and whispered in my ear, "Miss me? Couldn't wait to see me?" Blushing, I tried to dodge his kisses. But he pinned me down on the sofa and kissed me again. I have to admit, I enjoyed it. Being forcefully kissed by such a gorgeous bloke. Who wouldn't? But I must stay strong and not let my guard down. I cleared my throat and said to him, "I need to tell you something." He maintained his lazy demeanor. "What is it?" He played with my fingers. I said seriously, "I can't divorce my husband. Because I'm pregnant with his child." Dylan sat up straight. In an instant, his demeanor changed from casual to intimidating. All his previous gentleness and consideration vanished. My scalp tingled as I anxiously watched for any sign that he might harm himself. Fortunately, he didn't. He asked me very calmly, "How many months?" With how rough I was just now, did I hurt the baby? I stammered, "3 months. Just found out." He pondered for a moment and said, "The baby could be mine. We were together 3 months ago, and I did." "It's my husband's," I cut in. "How can you be so sure it's his?" "I just know." "Fine. I'll go talk to him right now. I'll make him divorce you. I don't mind raising your ex-husband's child." As he spoke, he stood up and grabbed his car keys, ready to leave. I was completely stunned. "What are you doing?" I quickly blocked his way. "I'm going to confront your husband. You don't love him, and he doesn't love you. You should get divorced, it's better for everyone." I felt like I was about to faint. "Please, I'm sorry," I begged. "I'm not pregnant. I was just joking." He crossed his arms. "So, what was your purpose?" I lowered my head. "I'm sorry, but I can't divorce my husband. I've already wronged him. I can't continue our relationship. You'll find someone better. Bloody hell, what are you doing?" He took out his phone and composed a tweet. "Helen Berry's husband, let her go. She doesn't love you. He's a celebrity, for heaven's sake." I grabbed his hand. "What are you doing? I want to make our relationship public. Is our relationship even something that should see the light of day?" Our eyes met. After 3 seconds, I said, I'll file for divorce as soon as I get back. During dinner, he said, you've reminded me. We should have a baby. My scalp tingled with anxiety. You're still at the peak of your career. If necessary, I can give up my career, stay home, and take care of you and the baby. I think I'm too young. I should focus on my studies. Don't you want to have children with me? Are you keeping your options open? Helen, what about me isn't good enough for you? I've got the looks, the career, the money. My love for you is far greater than yours for me. Why do you always try to run away from me? Always running away from him? Seems like another one who's gotten himself attached to me. Is being a married woman this dangerous these days? I could only try to placate him. Yes. Yes. Of course I'll have a baby with you. Bloody hell, I'll have 100 babies. Happy now? I screamed internally. But in reality, I shrank like a frightened mouse. After dinner, he drove to a pharmacy. He was truly handsome. When he went out wearing a black t-shirt, baseball cap and face mask. All in black, he just looked so attractive. He was absolutely gorgeous. Perhaps it's good we haven't broken up. That thought vanished instantly when I saw the medicine he bought for me. What's this? I asked. Folic acid. It's for pregnancy planning. 1 tablet each per day. I smiled and accepted them. I went home feeling exhausted. Getting home made me feel much more relaxed. But Victor was sitting in the living room with a serious expression. When he saw me come in, he looked at me expressionlessly. I immediately felt uneasy. He spoke. 2 men sent messages to me. WH what? He continued, they both claim you're their true love and want me to leave. He showed me his phone. Bloody hell. How did they even get his number? Message 1, Mr. Lambert, Helen loves me and we're eager to get married and have children. Please leave on your own accord. Helen is too kind to say it, but I think you should know better. Message 2, I'm Dylan Burton. Helen and I are true love. Name your price for a quick divorce. We're already trying for a baby. My face had gone completely blank. Victor asked, who are they? I hesitated before answering. Could they be mental patients who've escaped? No sane person would send messages like that. Before he could respond, the doorbell rang. He went to answer it. I sat on the sofa, feeling as lonely as a schoolgirl who'd been caught skipping class to get to the cafeteria early, and was now being punished by standing in the teacher's office. While I was thinking of how to explain myself, I heard a familiar voice at the door. Hello, I'm Helen's fiancé. My name is Stephen Howard. I turned my head mechanically. I didn't dare open my eyes, hoping it was all just a hallucination. In the living room, Stephen politely arrived with a fruit basket. I suspected what he really wanted to bring was a child. Fortunately, he couldn't get pregnant. Silence. Silence like a winter evening in Cambridge. My boss Stephen smiled at my husband Victor. I never expected Mr. Lambert to be so young and handsome, he said. Helen always described you as yellow-faced, old and ugly. My husband crossed his arms, watching him quietly. Stephen smiled at me and said, I know you couldn't bring it up, so I'm here to help. Expressionless, I went to put away the fruit knife from the coffee table. Victor glanced at him, then at me, and asked, Are you the one desperate to get married and have children? What? Stephen was surprised. Before Victor could explain, the doorbell rang again. My husband nodded towards the door and ordered, Go answer it. Stephen left to answer the door. I stood there, completely lost. A familiar voice came from the doorway again. Hello, I'm Helen's boyfriend. My name is Dylan Burton. I wished I could disappear right there. In the living room, the 4 of us each took a sofa. Victor sat at the head position with his arms crossed, giving Dylan a sideways glance. Are you the one who wanted to negotiate a price? Dylan said, What? Victor remained composed, tapping on the coffee table. One of you claims to be my wife's fiancé, the other says he's her boyfriend. Both want me to get divorced. Victor looked at me. Darling, anything you'd like to say? Stefan, Helen, who is he? Dylan, Helen, why do you have both a husband and a fiancé? Me, it's all a misunderstanding. I pleaded with my eyes, please, I'm just a young girl. Let me be and just leave. Stefan, I'm her boss, Stefan Howard. We got engaged in the capital, met both families, and are planning our wedding and future together. Dilo looked at him with contempt. So you're that creepy, pot-bellied boss who's always harassing Helen? Dylan then turned to my husband Victor. And you must be that old, ugly, abusive waste of space she's married to? Stefan, Helen has never mentioned you. I apologize for not knowing who you are. Victor, well, Helen never mentioned either of you. Sorry about that. Silence. 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 In my heart. I choked up. Dylan said, name your price. How much money would it take for you to leave my Helen? Stefan sneered, we're engaged. You're just the third man, so don't be so presumptuous. Dylan retorted, who's the third man isn't certain yet. Helen and I have been together for 6 months. Victor's gaze turned colder. Stefan said, we've been together for 8 months. Victor remarked, so you're the second man, and he's the third. My husband asked me, any objections? What's the point of ranking them, honestly? I shook my head. Victor declared, I won't get divorced. And let me warn you both, stay away from my Helen. You lot are just hotel rooms. I am her home. Helen, say something. I tensed up and said, I really can't get divorced. Please don't post on Twitter. Oh no! Victor, stop him, he's heading to the kitchen to get a knife. The living room had descended into complete chaos. Dylan was threatening to expose our relationship on Twitter. He just wanted to die with me. Stefan was going to get a knife and kill himself in front of us, to make us regret. Victor remained motionless, I'd like to see if he really dares to die. He then turned his cold gaze towards Dylan. Let him post it. Darling, even if the whole world despises you, you'll always have a safe harbor with me. Stefan sneered, Helen doesn't even love you. Could you stop being so confident? Dylan retorted, she loves me. Victor let out a cold laugh. Looking at how you're both trying to force her hand now. I can tell how you've been manipulating her behind my back. My Helen is an honest and kind girl. She must have been threatened and emotionally blackmailed to betray me. I know my own wife. Tears welled up in my eyes, touched by his words. Though I couldn't remember our past, I knew myself I was just an honest, decent girl. It was all because of those homewreckers outside. Victor reached out his hand to me. Come on, love. Let them chase after you all they want, we're not losing anything here. I still rely more on Victor. I quickly grabbed his hand and followed him upstairs. I hope they both understand what we mean. This really can't go on like this anymore. In the bedroom. Darling, I'm sorry. He sighed, what are you sorry for? I'm wrong about everything. He said, your biggest mistake was not telling me about those scumbags. If you had told me, would they have come to our house making such a scene? I nodded quickly. Victor is too kind. He actually understands my difficulties. If only he wouldn't grit his teeth during our intimate moments tonight. He even tied me up, saying if I dare to file for divorce, he won't harm himself or make a scene on Twitter. He'll just lock me in a dark room until I pass out. I think Victor is actually more frightening. Because he's serious. I thought Stefan and Dylan would give up and leave. Instead, they both moved into our house. Stefan said, we're engaged, and Helen must marry me. Mr. Lambert, if you won't divorce her, I'll stay here until you agree. Then I'll take Helen with me. Dylan retorted, Helen and I share true love. I won't leave, you're the ones who should go. Victor declared, listen here, you two homewreckers. If you're staying, you'll follow the rules. That means taking care of all the housework, cooking, and laundry. Otherwise, I'll throw you both out. Stefan sneered, well, Dylan, aren't you the hot-headed one? Why don't you just leave? Dylan shot back, Stefan, I know exactly what you're playing at. If you can't handle this, how can you claim to love Helen? I'll wait. I don't mind. I felt terribly awkward. Has anyone even considered how I feel about all this? After getting up and finishing my morning routine, Victor and I went downstairs. Stefan had prepared breakfast. The family finished eating together. Dylan did the dishes. When he wasn't performing at concerts, he stayed home writing lyrics and composing music. He had already asked Victor for a space to keep his instruments. I heard it needed some renovation work. Victor asked him to write a formal request. Dylan reluctantly agreed. Stefan and I went to work together. Victor reminded him, Howard, take care of Helen. Remember your position. In the car, Stefan asked me, why don't you get divorced? He seems so ordinary. If I mention divorce, he'll kill me, I replied. Stefan said, I'm sorry I pressured you before. He clearly isn't a good person. He cursed my husband in the car. At the office, he would occasionally call me in for secret encounters. He also told me to take folic acid. At the most extreme, I was taking 3 folic acid tablets a day. Because Victor also said it was time to have a child. In the afternoon, Dylan would bring afternoon tea to the office. Then he'd book a hotel room by the hour, pretending he was dizzy. In the evening, Victor would hold me on the sofa while watching films. He would say, Howard, bring some cut fruit. Burton, go mop the floor. One day, I finally recovered my memory. After submitting my A-level applications, Victor took the initiative to contact me, suggesting we both go to the capital. He helped me with my luggage and accompanied me during the enrollment. As we spent more time together, we naturally became a couple. He told me he had liked me before. He had been waiting for me to finish my A-levels. After I graduated from university, we got married. Our married life has been wonderfully sweet. Stefan and I got together during a business trip. Someone spiked both our drinks at the pub. Then, by some twisted fate, we ended up together. When we woke up, we agreed to forget about it. But Stefan begged me to be with him one more time. Then one time became many times. We'd already done it, so what difference did a few more times make? By the time I realized something wasn't right, he was already threatening me with a kitchen knife, refusing to let me break up with him. I met Dylan when my comic was going to be adapted into a film. Dylan was to sing the theme song and needed to discuss the comic's content with me, as he would also write the lyrics. In his music studio, I found myself lost in his enchanting voice and irresistible charm. By the time he held me close and kissed me, it was too late to refuse. Everything happened so fast, there was no way to stop it. I could only walk a tightrope. When I couldn't meet Dylan, I'd tell him my boss was making me work overtime. When I couldn't meet Stefan, I'd tell him my husband had hurt me too badly to be seen. When I couldn't be with Victor, I'd tell him I was working late. And so, the lies kept piling up. An honest girl, driven to desperation, became a player. In my youth, I dreamed of being the perfect wife, creating a warm home. Surprisingly, as an adult, that dream came true. This home isn't just warm, it's rather crowded.